with the energy of an 18-year-old. He's one of the last players in Germany who learned his trade on the streets. And after his involvement in international football for more than 40 years, he's still passionate about the game. His name is Uwe Seeler. No one has played in more World Cup final games, and although his playing days are over, Seeler remains very much a part of football today.
I played for almost 20 years at the top level of international football. In that time, I tried to behave in a modest, sensible and honest way, to be fair in both sport and mind. This is still remembered by my fans, although I finished my career more than 22 years ago. Everywhere I go, I'm welcomed with open arms. I have to admit it, it makes me proud.
Seeler's career reads like a fairy tale. He was only 17 when he appeared in the first of his 72 internationals for West Germany. 4 years later in Sweden in 1958, he was playing in his first of 4 World Cups. His sensational long-range shot against Northern Ireland ensured Germany a place in the quarter-finals. There they faced the hosts, Sweden. Despite being the defending champions, they lost 2-0. Seeler spent his entire career with one club, Hamburg, making over 700 appearances and scoring over 550 goals. In 1960, his 2 goals against Cologne won his side the title in the championship playoff for the first time in over 30 years. In those years, he played alongside his brother Dieter, but it was Uwe who finished the 1960 season as top scorer and was later voted Player of the Year.
In those days, we had a team where all of the players came from the youth system. The main thing was the team spirit. This is different now because of professionalism. Teams are always changing. You buy and sell players. This didn't exist in my day.
In 1962, Seeler travelled to Chile to play in his second World Cup. The atmosphere was tense in the team, although in public the German team put on a confident face. The goalkeepers, Tilkowski and Farian, were fighting for one place. Despite Seeler's presence, everyone was worried about Germany's striking power. 35-year-old Hans Schäfer had been recalled, but it was Seeler who once again scored the crucial goals. Here, a diving header against host Chile ensured another quarter-final spot for the Germans. Although for the second time running, that was as far as they went, losing to Yugoslavia. Before the 1966 World Cup in England, Seeler suffered a serious injury when he tore an Achilles tendon. In those days, that was usually enough to end your career. But against all the odds, he recovered in time for the final qualifying game against Sweden.
The German media called Helmut Schön, who was coach at this time, a fool to pick me for the team so soon after my operation. But he had confidence in my skills and I was able to repay him. I said to him, "Helmut, don't worry, I'm fit." I then went on to score the decisive goal, which meant we qualified for the finals in England.
The 1966 World Cup in England was the closest Seeler came to fulfilling his dream of becoming a world champion. He was made captain of the side as one of the most experienced players, and he continued to score goals, although he was still hampered by the injury. But Seeler is remembered for being a team player as much as a goal scorer. Losing the final to England after such a dramatic game was a bitter disappointment for Seeler. In 1968, he retired from international football, believing 3 World Cups to be enough. It was a big surprise, therefore, when in 1970, he appeared in his 4th World Cup. Although Germany had the prolific Gerd Müller, coach Helmut Schön had persuaded Seeler to return, feeling his experience was desperately needed. He made Seeler captain again and played him in midfield. In the quarter-final against England, Seeler scored a goal, which has become part of World Cup folklore.
During my career, I scored many goals with my head, although I'm not very tall. But I'm very compact and have the ability to jump very high. I trained hard at my heading technique from a very young age because I enjoyed it. If your opponents are much taller than you, the main thing is getting the timing right. That's what I was good at.
Although beaten in the semi-finals by Italy, the West German team received a warm reception back home. For Uwe Seeler, it was a terrific end to his career, and he was voted Player of the Year for the second time. In 1961, Seeler was offered a life contract by the sportswear giants Adidas. This, more than anything else, persuaded him to stay in Hamburg despite big offers from clubs like Inter. Since he stopped playing, he's worked for the company full-time, representing their interests in North Germany. Seeler has always followed the fortunes of the club he played for, but he's witnessed its gradual decline. Since 1983, when Hamburg won the Champions Cup, the club has struggled to maintain its reputation, often languishing in mid-table. Seeler was asked to take over the club as president, but he refused, unsure of how he could help, until he met his friend and former teammate Franz Beckenbauer, the president of Bayern Munich.
I know how important football is for the people in Hamburg, and I have watched the decline of Hamburg, a club I once played for. In my opinion, the only one who could turn the club around was Uwe Seeler. Therefore, I advised him to take over the presidency.
Seeler took his advice, and in October became president. The first thing he did was to sack coach Benno Müllmann after 3 years in charge. He replaced him with former Hamburg star Felix Magath, at least until the end of the year. Early results have been promising. Although it will now become harder to find the time, Seeler, the man who learned his trade on the streets, intends to continue organising his annual training camp to encourage another generation.
To play in the streets is nowadays almost impossible. There are simply too many cars, and there's no space anymore. Even in the parks, there are restrictions everywhere. Because of that, I try to teach the kids the passion for the game. If we achieve that, and a few of them become members of football clubs, then I consider it a job well done.